"How inappropriate for a princess to dress so exposed," one nobleman murmured. "What is the king thinking, allowing his daughter to appear in public like that?" another added. Once upon a time in the peaceful kingdom of Amo, there lived a kind and fair king named Ono. The people of Amo adored their king because he ruled with justice and compassion. His kingdom was prosperous, with rolling green hills, sparkling rivers, and villages filled with happy citizens. However, behind the king's warm smile lay a secret, a mistake from his youth that would cast a long shadow over his family's future. When King Ono was a young prince, not yet burdened with the responsibilities of the crown, he often walked through the kingdom's marketplace disguised as a common man. He believed this helped him understand the true nature of his people's lives. On one particularly cold evening, he encountered an elderly woman huddled in a doorway. The woman's clothes were ragged and worn thin, barely protecting her from the bitter chill. Her fingers were blue with cold as she reached out to the young prince. "Please, kind sir," she whispered, her voice trembling, "might you spare a few coins for an old woman, or perhaps a blanket to ward off this terrible cold?" Something about her appearance or manner irritated the young prince. Perhaps he was tired from a long day, or maybe he had grown weary of the many requests he received. Whatever the reason, instead of showing the kindness for which he would later become famous, Prince Ono frowned at the woman. "Even if you are poor," he said sharply, "you must dress with dignity. Your appearance brings shame to our beautiful kingdom. Leave me be." His words cut through the cold air like icicles. The old woman's eyes widened, not with fear but with a strange, powerful light. She straightened her bent back, and suddenly she didn't seem quite so frail. "You judge what you do not understand, young prince," she said, her voice no longer weak but clear and ringing. "For this cruelty I place upon you a curse." Prince Ono stepped back, suddenly afraid, but the woman continued. "Your firstborn daughter will grow to be beautiful and kind, with a heart pure as the mountain springs. But no matter how elegantly she dresses, no matter how modest her clothing, all who look upon her will see her as half-naked, bringing shame upon your house and kingdom." The prince laughed nervously, brushing off her words as the ramblings of a mad woman, soon forgetting the encounter as he ascended to the throne and married a lovely queen. Years passed and the royal couple was blessed with a daughter named Princess Arya. From the moment of her birth, she brought joy to everyone around her. As she grew, it became clear that Princess Arya had inherited her mother's beauty and her father's compassion. She loved reading stories, tending to the palace gardens, and visiting the children in the village to share treats and toys. During Princess Arya's birthday celebration, she wore a beautiful blue gown with silver stars embroidered across the bodice, a gift from her father. As she entered the great hall, whispers rippled through the crowd. "How inappropriate for a princess to dress so exposed," one nobleman murmured. "What is the king thinking, allowing his daughter to appear in public like that?" another added. Confused and hurt, Princess Arya looked down at her perfectly modest gown. Everything was covered properly, exactly as her mother had taught her was appropriate for a young royal. Yet the whispers continued, and she noticed people averting their eyes or staring with disapproval. King Ono and Queen Lyra were bewildered. To them, their daughter was beautifully and appropriately dressed. But no matter what gown Princess Arya wore, high-necked, long-sleeved, multiple layers, the reaction was always the same. People saw her as if she were inappropriately dressed, almost unclothed. As months turned into years, Princess Arya's confidence crumbled. She began to avoid public appearances, preferring to remain in her chambers or the quiet solitude of the palace gardens. Her once bright smile faded, replaced by downcast eyes and a soft voice that rarely spoke above a whisper. "Why do they look at me that way, father?" she would ask, tears streaming down her face. "I'm wearing the same kinds of dresses as the other noble ladies. What's wrong with me?" King Ono could offer no explanation, though a nagging memory flickered at the edges of his mind. A cold evening, an old woman, harsh words spoken in youth. Could it be possible? Could a curse cast so long ago now be tormenting his beloved daughter? Princess Arya's 16th birthday approached, an age when most princesses began to receive suitors. King Ono arranged for Prince Elian of the neighboring kingdom of Solaria to visit Amo. Prince Elian was known for his kindness and intelligence, and King Ono hoped that perhaps someone from outside their kingdom might be free from whatever strange spell seemed to affect his subjects. The day of Prince Elian's arrival, Princess Arya spent hours preparing. Her handmaidens selected a magnificent gown of deep emerald green with golden embroidery that complemented her auburn hair. Multiple layers of fine silk ensured complete modesty, and the royal jeweler provided a high-necked golden collar that sparkled with tiny emeralds. "You look beautiful, my daughter," Queen Lyra assured her. "Any prince would be honored to court you." But when Princess Arya entered the throne room to meet Prince Elian, the familiar look of shock crossed his face. He bowed stiffly, his eyes darting away uncomfortably. Later that evening, Prince Elian spoke privately with King Ono. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I mean no disrespect to your kingdom or your family, but I expected a princess who upheld royal standards of propriety. How can I consider marrying someone who appears before the court so inappropriately dressed?" When King Ono related this conversation to his daughter, Princess Arya fled to her chambers and wept for hours. "I'll never marry," she sobbed to her mother. "I'll never have friends or be able to leave the castle. I'm cursed to be alone forever." For weeks, royal messengers traveled throughout the kingdom, asking about an elderly woman who might have placed a curse on the young prince years ago. Most people shook their heads, but eventually, a young boy from a remote village came forward. "My grandmother used to tell stories about a woman with magic powers who lived in our village," the boy explained. "She died many years ago, but her grave lies in the whispering forest beneath the oldest oak tree. Grandmother said she was once greatly insulted by royalty." With this information, King Ono organized an expedition. He, Princess Arya, Queen Lyra, and a small group of loyal guards journeyed to the Whispering Forest. After days of searching, they found an ancient oak tree with a small, unmarked grave beneath its spreading branches. Princess Arya approached the grave first, kneeling in the soft moss beside it. "I don't know who you were," she said softly, "or why this curse affects me, but I ask for your forgiveness and understanding. I've lived for years with shame that isn't mine to bear, for a mistake I didn't make." "You have learned what I wished to teach you, King Ono," the spirit said, "that appearances can deceive, and that one should never judge another's worth by their clothing or station. Your daughter has suffered, yes, but she has grown strong and compassionate through her trials." The spirit turned toward Princess Arya. "You, child, have shown remarkable courage. Though others saw you falsely, you never lost your true self. The curse ends today, not just because your father has asked for forgiveness, but because you have earned the right to be seen as you truly are." When they returned to the castle, the change was immediate and dramatic. As Princess Arya walked through the courtyard, people smiled and bowed respectfully. There were no whispers, no averted gazes, only admiration for their beautiful princess in her elegant green gown. News of the broken curse spread quickly through the kingdom. Prince Elian, hearing of the strange enchantment and its end, requested permission to visit Amo again. King Ono agreed, though with some hesitation. When Prince Elian saw Princess Arya again, his reaction was completely different. "Princess," he said, bowing deeply, "I must apologize for my previous behavior. I don't know what came over me. Today I see before me a graceful, properly attired and beautiful young woman." King Ono watched his daughter's happiness with a thankful heart. He established a new royal tradition of caring for the elderly and poor, creating shelters throughout the kingdom where anyone could find a warm meal and clean clothing, regardless of their appearance. The kingdom of Amo prospered under this new spirit of kindness and understanding, and whenever anyone was tempted to judge another by their appearance, they would remember the story of Princess Arya and the curse that taught an entire kingdom to look beyond the surface and see the true person within. The most important lesson, passed down through generations, was simple. Our words have power, power to hurt or to heal, and in the end, kindness and forgiveness can break even the strongest curse.